Begin the news at this hour in West Africa, where the judgment delivered by the Supreme Court of Nigeria on Thursday, where it dismissed the appeal of the presidential candidate of the People's Democratic Party, Atiku Abubakar, and the Labour Party's presidential candidate, Peter Obi, challenging the election of President Bola Ahmed Tinubu, has continued to generate reactions. The court, in its verdict, upheld the judgment of the Presidential Election Petition Tribunal, confirming Bola Ahmed Tinubu's legitimacy as the elected president of Nigeria. The panel, amongst other issues, held that the failure of INEC to uphold election results to the IREF portal is not significant enough to nullify the result of the elections. Now, barely 2 weeks to the governorship election in Kogi, Bayelsa, and Imo states, some citizens are concerned about what the repeated promise by INEC to adopt technology in enhancing the credibility of the polls will mean in real sense. To better understand this, we are joined by Francis Chilaka, a political analyst and social commentator. Thank you so much for your time, Francis.
Thank you very much.
All right, now let's begin by asking you, were you expecting anything different from the Supreme Court's verdict? And if you were, what could it have been?
Well, honestly, I wasn't expecting anything different from what the tribunal had said, because it's still the same people. I wasn't because for me, there was nothing to expect that was going to be very, very special, because we all know how the Supreme Court works, and we all know that Nigerian politics is all about money, all about winners takes all, and all of that. So I personally was not expecting anything different from what played out at the Supreme Court.
Now, let's talk about, in terms of closure, the election dispute. We know that there was a lot of back and forth, particularly judicial crossfire, starting from the tribunal way to the supreme level, in the past 6 months. Now, what do you think the president needs to do in order to sort of, bring about closure when it comes to electoral disputes right now?
Well, if we're talking about this presidency, so much has gone down the line, so much has gone down the drain, and it's going to take time for this presidency to get legitimacy that it deserves from itself and from the Nigerian people. A lot has been said, and we've had a lot going on right from Nigeria then to America, all the evidences that came out that has to question his certificate and all of that. So you find out that the government is going to spend the next 1 year fighting for legitimacy, and also trying to impress on Nigerians that everything that happened was not meant to happen. Well, you see, there's a moral question to it. That moral question is the fact that, are we saying that people who have questionable character with so much money can continue to lead the country? This is a big question. It's a moral question that needs to be answered. And what kind of message are we passing to the younger generation of Nigerians? So these are the questions that this presidency needs to answer before you begin to talk about closure.
Anyway, by the 11th of next month, voters in Imo, Kogi, and the Bayelsa states are expected to troop out to vote in the governorship elections. How do you think the pronouncement by the Supreme Court saying that INEC's failure to keep its promise to uphold election results to the IREF portal in real time will affect the confidence of the people in the process?
Well, what the Supreme Court has done, in effect, is to tell us that we're going back to the Stone Age, and that they're throwing away everything that has to do with technology. And it also points to the fact that so much resources was put into having the kind of technology that INEC has used or meant to use for other elections. But the way it is, it's really, really sad, because INEC can do anything and get away with it because they have the backing of the Supreme Court, which is totally, totally wrong. It means that there is no accountability, there is no transparency. And what played out in Imo in the last election that brought up the governor of Imo State, Hope Uzodimma, may play out in other states, and nobody will question it. And as we know, if you go to Imo State, they will tell you that the governor they have in Imo State is the Supreme Court governor. And you may have the same situation in other states like Kogi, Bayelsa. So this is something that needs to be looked into immediately. It needs to be addressed. If INEC is talking about transmitting results electronically, and the Supreme Court is saying that it's at liberty to decide how to transmit, then something is wrong. It means that, we're not getting our facts, clear. We're not getting ready for what real democracy stands for.
Now, let's talk about the takeaways from all of the illegal crossfire we've witnessed in the past month concerning the presidential elections. What do you think, moving forward, needs to be done to further strengthen the electoral process in Nigeria and also the judicial process too?
Talking about the electoral process, I believe that it is time the key political actors would go down and sit down with their own members who are in the Federal House of Assembly and the senators, and let us take another look at the Electoral Act. We need to take another look at it. We need to define what we really want. If we want an election that is electronically handled, we should go for that. If we want an election that will be manually handled, we should go for that. So we shouldn't have ambiguity in our laws. We can't have one law that says you must transmit and another law that says you are at liberty to do it. We must have one law for everybody. Now, coming to the judiciary, it's unfortunate to say that the judiciary has lost its tooth. The judiciary is meant to be the last hope of the ordinary Nigerian, but today we don't see that happening. What we see playing out with the judiciary is he who has more funds, has more money to play around, has more power, can actually, get the judiciary to do what they want to do. So there needs to be
I don't think there's evidence. I'm sorry to cut in, but I don't think. The last line you said, he who has more funds. I don't believe there's any evidence to substantiate that. So
it's a personal opinion, but the point I'm trying to make is that there needs to be a line drawn between the judiciary, the legislative, and the executive. A situation where you have the executive controlling the judiciary and the legislature, then there's a problem. That is not, division of power. That is not pure and true democracy.
All right. Thank you so much for your time. And of course, we sincerely appreciate you, Francis Chilaka, political analyst and social commentator.
Thank you.